of your new police state.
Thank you. I apologize for being a couple minutes late. So I've survived my first 3 weeks in the legislature, and the good news is they told me when I went down there that the average legislator gains 10 pounds during the session. I've lost 6 pounds in the first 3 weeks, so I'm feeling pretty good. When people have asked me how I feel about my experience so far, there's probably any adjective you can think of, from exhilarating to depressing to edifying, as my seatmate pointed out to me. I've experienced all those. Seeing how government works firsthand is certainly educational, but I have to say that a lot of times it's very frustrating. And so my concern as I'm going through the process is to work within the rules where I can and stand up for my constituents for those rules that I think are denying them their voice in state government. I think probably so far I have 5 bills that I have ready that have not been RS'd yet. They'll be coming forward. The one that has been RS'd we're waiting for a hearing on, and I think which has generated a lot of interest is the Idaho Abortion Human Rights Act, and that's probably one of my most important projects that I'm working on. So.
Good morning. I'll keep it fairly brief. I first want to thank my wife, Julie, and my son, Peter, who are here with us this morning. I think might be the youngest constituent in the room. So, and they really have to bear the brunt of my service in the legislature because I'm down in Boise and they have a lot of work to take care of up here. So thank you. It's been an interesting start to the session. It's been incredibly busy, but incredibly light so far on legislation. I just talked to our chief clerk of the House, and we're about 50% behind as far as bill introduction compared to last year. And so I don't know what that portends for the future. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing if we're creating less laws for everyone, so I'm not necessarily complaining, but there's going to be several big issues that come up this year that'll keep us very busy, and I'm just happy to be here to answer questions, and I want to hear what you have to say and what you think about those issues. So thanks for being here.
Addis, District 4 first session, and I was telling you somebody earlier, the first week is a little interesting. You're getting used to rituals and the way things get done. Second week, you get a little more in the groove, and then in the third week, it's becoming comfortable. And I think when you're comfortable, you can make good decisions and things get done. I'm fortunate that I'm on some committees that are very, very interesting and go towards what I'm trying to push is economic improvement for Idaho, less regulation for Idaho. I got 1 bill RS'd, and I've got 4 coming, and they're going to be very interesting, as ranging from, we think, from antitrust law to some tax initiatives. So it's a thrill. There's a lot of good people down there. We give a lot of people a bad name, but there's a lot of good people down there trying to do good things for Idaho, and it's a great opportunity, and it's a great experience to represent you all. Thanks.
My name is Tony Wisniewski, and I represent District 3, which is Post Falls, Rathdrum, and Worley. I'm also a freshman representative, and the first word I would use for the first day of session and the first week was overwhelming. There's a lot to learn, just layout of the Capitol, who does what, how to find your way around, the process, answering emails, phone calls, regular mail. It is somewhat overwhelming, but after the second week, third week, you do get used to it. I serve on the Education Committee, Local Government, and Commerce Committees. Some of the things that I'm interested in this time are property rights. There's some bills that are being proposed to protect agricultural land from being annexed into towns, as well as there's also a big discussion about the educational funding formula, which is new this year, which will help determine how much allocation we give to individual school districts. And I'm honored to be here and humbled to serve in the House of Representatives for the state of Idaho. Thank you.
Mendive, Tony's seatmate, Representative Vopnfjerd's seatmate. I'm actually starting my fourth term, which is amazing. It goes by fast. I don't know, the years just kind of roll together, and I'm really stunned that I've been down there that long. It's so busy, and then it passes so quickly that it's just hard to keep track. But I'm on my three committees are education, and education is the funding formula is big. We're in the process of learning what is planned there, and it's interesting that it creates winners and losers. Lakeland School District, which is in my district, is a loser, and basically they're losing as near as I can determine because I have not been able to get my questions completely answered yet. In talking with the people that are in charge of this yesterday, we had a meeting, a small meeting, so we could ask our questions, and basically they're saying, Lakeland told me that the reason they lose up to $1.6 million a year with this new formula, they're one of the big losers, would be because their teachers, they've had them for a number of years, and so the current formula appropriates money for teachers by length of service. It's a career ladder by education things, and you get to a point where you get to maximum teacher compensation. The new one took an average. So you take a district like Lakeland, who has done a really good job of keeping their teachers for a long period of time, in the average, they got hurt. So $1.6 million is just a road too far. We're going to have some major issues on that in the funding. So we're learning it, and the legislature is going to have to decide a number of things on this. And so anyway, I'm sure that'll come up more during this meeting here, and I do appreciate everybody being here. Also, my other committees are resources conservation, and this time I'm actually chairman of local government. And I'm looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. I know there's a lot of other things you could do on a Saturday morning, and I thank you for your interest and involvement in what we're doing. What I wanted to, this is Representative Barbieri and I are the senior most members now of the Kootenai County delegation, which seems a little shocking to me as well. Last year I was elected as Assistant Majority Leader in the Senate, and I was re-elected this year, and that's quite an honor to me. But what I wanted to talk about was, excuse me, we do rules review, and I think it's important. We have a constitutional right. We're one of only 3 states in the country that has the constitutional right to review administrative rules. And so far, I'm on the Local Government and Taxation Committee, and so far, the Tax Committee has rejected 2 rules. The State Affairs Committee has rejected a couple of rules as well. But I want to read one of the rules that the Tax Committee rejected. And it says that, so we pass a bill, we just passed it last week, that says we comply with the IRS code. So the federal code that determines income tax, for income tax purposes, we comply with that. And I'm not speaking here about whether you agree or disagree with that principle. All I'm talking about is how the Tax Commission tried to define the code. And they said the definition of the term Internal Revenue Code includes all uncodified provisions in federal law that relate to provisions of the Internal Revenue Code. So the first thing they're saying is, well, the Internal Revenue Code includes what's in law and anything else that somebody at some point has determined is Internal Revenue Code. Well, we didn't like that very well. And it goes on to further say, and also includes any other provision of federal law that is used to determine federal taxable income. And that was, I mean, it's just a step too far. I mean, they're saying anything that may or may, you know, it's an unending definition. So that was too far. So we rejected that rule, and then this one is probably something that it'd be important to you if you sell and buy and sell cars, which I think pretty much everybody does. But we've always attached a bill of sale to your automobile, and you take that bill of sale in, and that's what they charge you for sales tax. So if you buy a car for $3,000, take it in, they charge you sales tax, $180 in sales tax on that car. Well, they said there's people who are, the bill of sale is different than what they actually paid for the car, and we probably are all familiar with that. So they wanted to put in code that the price you paid for the car was the average Blue Book price, or you had to prove you paid a different price. Wow. And we said, no, in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. So again, it's a privilege and an honor to be your senator, and we do happen to be in my district today, so welcome.
District 4, which is Coeur d'Alene. So thank you for coming out today on this snowy day. I really appreciate the great turnout, and I know we have a diverse group here, and I'm glad because we can have a conversation. I would first like to thank my wonderful husband, Rick. All of our spouses and families put up with a lot while we are gone full-time for 3 months. We come home for less than a day and a half, and we're pretty much exhausted, and we sleep, and we don't want to cook, so they cook for us, and they just take care of us and then put us back on the plane, and we go back for another week. So it is a wonderful support system to have them here. Thank you. This is the beginning of my 3rd term, so my 5th year in the Senate. I'm really enjoying the process, and it is going to be, I think, under our new administration, a great time to be in the Idaho Senate. We got off to a slower start this year, as one of our representatives mentioned, but I do think it's because we have a new governor, and there are a lot of new appointments in all of the departments. There's a lot that's been going on behind the scenes, and I think we're going to see a wave of new bills coming up the next couple of weeks. So we'll be back up to our regular amount, I am certain. I sit on the State Affairs Committee this term, which is going to be very interesting. I'm also on the Commerce Committee, and I'm Vice Chair of the Health and Welfare Committee. But in addition to the standing committees, I will be serving on a new committee, an oversight committee that we started in the Senate and the House, and it is the foster care oversight. It's actually child welfare. It's called the Child Welfare Oversight Committee. And that will be very interesting because it will be, I believe, the first ongoing oversight committee established in the legislature. So we will only meet a couple of times a year, but it'll be an interesting process. I also am part of the opioid planning task force for Idaho. And we all know that that's a big concern that touches us in so many ways. I would like to just give you a little bit of information to start the conversation out. And Boise State University just put out a public policy survey. It came out moments ago. I mean, it is so fresh off the presses. 60% of the people that they surveyed, which was 1,004 citizens of Idaho all over the state, 60% said that they believe the state is going in the right direction. So that's good news. They also, this 1,004, said that their top issues are, number 1, education. Number 2, the economy. Number 3, healthcare. 4 is growth. And 5 is transportation. So that's an interesting priority list. I hope we get to have conversations about some of those today, and thank you for being here.
I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you. I want to commend Senator Sousa for being able to get some sleep on the weekends. I think that's impressive. I am still on business. I am on state affairs, and I am on local government, of which I don't know if Representative Mendive mentioned it, but he's the new chair of local government. I've been working with several individuals about several different types of bills. We're working on adoption and trying to simplify those things. We're working on some pro-life issues. Well, there's a number of things that I'm sure we can bring up as the conversation goes on. I look forward to your questions, and let's begin.